Hello, I'm Gus Downing, publisher and editor of the D&D Daily, and this is the LP News Network. Joining me today is an exciting new company entering the North American market. Auror is a crime intelligence platform that empowers store teams and police with the information they need to stop organized retail crime. Auror software makes it easy for retailers to capture information about incidents, connect the dots on offenders, and collaborate to build strong cases. With me today are two of Auror's co-founders, Phil Thomson and Tom Batterbury. Guys, thanks for being here today.
Thanks, Gus. Great to be here.
And you came all the way from New Zealand.
We did.
And you're going to London right after this one.
Yes. Unfortunately, a lot of flying.
Yeah, good luck with it.
Yeah, thank you.
Can you briefly describe for our audience how your platform works?
Yes, so Auror is a crime intelligence platform that helps retailers stop crime and ORC in their stores. And the way we do that is by making it easy for store teams to report crime incidents easily. And what that process used to take hours and a lot of steps involved now takes minutes. And by doing that, you then have the information which you can turn into intelligence. So you can start connecting the dots on repeat offenders, who they work with, what vehicles they use, what products they target. And in doing so, you are then identifying ORC faster and building stronger cases. You can also collaborate on there as well. So how can store teams work closer or better with each other, with their investigators, from retailer to retailer, with law enforcement as well? And for us as Auror, how do you work better with other security technology, such as license plate recognition or facial recognition, to then allow for prevention opportunities? For us, it's all about prevention and making it easy for retailers to use intelligence to prevent and solve more crime.
And then you collect all this data, and what do you do with it? Where do you go with it?
So the data is collected from the retailer and they can use it themselves to prevent crime, but then they can also work with local law enforcement, so you can start investigating more of those incidents. And also for us, it's about not looking at 10,000 incidents necessarily, but looking at who are the repeat offenders involved. And that ORC piece is really important, especially for retailers here in the US.
So your software will flag that, identify that, and give that information to the retailer, so to speak.
Correct, and it's also building that community around it as well. Your law enforcement, your security guards, your investigators, they all know who these people are. Often the store teams don't, so it's about using their knowledge as well to connect those dots and make it easy for everyone.
So law enforcement can tie into the same platform, and they're using it simultaneously.
That's correct, and they can communicate through it as well. They can share information. If local PD wants the evidence or a video footage, they can ask for it online and get a notification in real time when it's uploaded. So it just makes that whole process really easy and streamlined.
So you have license tag recognition system that kind of integrates with it as well? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so license plate recognition. So it's very similar to facial recognition, except you're looking for a car. And so part of what Auror does when store teams report a crime, they might go, hey, Tom and Phil just did an incident and they left in vehicle ABC 123. And then within the platform, we create 3 separate entities that might go start offending at other retail stores, but we start connecting it together. And if that vehicle ABC 123 went to a different store in 3 months' time, it can get detected and we can alert the store team to go, hey, ABC 123 has just arrived, look out for Phil and Tom, they're targeting electronics goods and they're actually banned from your stores. So when we talk about intelligence, it's about how do you empower the store teams to actually have that information, and you make it harder for the shoplifters to get away with it. Like, they don't have the anonymity that they're used to. And when you can package all this information up in real time, it also really helps the police.
And it's about all of them collaborating, all the retailers collaborating together to be able to get the power of that information and be able to use it.
Exactly. So there's two parts to that. So one is recognizing that, hey, retailers might not be ready to share together on day one. So if I was to steal from two different retailers, we can still aggregate that for law enforcement. So law enforcement get a global view to go, hey, Tom really is a problem in our community. We should be focusing on him. But for the two different retailers, they just get their own view of the crime that I've committed in their businesses. But hey, in 1 year's time, they might go, hey, we actually want to start collaborating with each other, and then they get the view as well. So it's making sure that it helps collaboration, but it takes our customers on a journey, and they can collaborate as much as they want to at that point in time.
How do you input the information? I mean, is this an apprehended shoplifter, or is this a suspect in a store?
Yeah, it's a variety of ways. If they are apprehended, they can enter that information in. What we see a lot of, though, is people getting away with it and it's being investigated after the fact. So they can still enter that information if it's a suspect or they've got video footage of something's actually occurred. They upload that into the platform, which is online, and that's automatically then send out real-time alerts to the stores in the area, to the investigations team in the field, and also back to the support or head office for them to understand the stores that have those problems with crime.
And local police as well. And so often local police will know these people. So we find that at the point of incident in stores, they know about 10% of who the people are. But then the police are like, oh, that's Joe, that's Tom, and then they can input that information, and that's how the dots start to come together. And so within Auror, we actually know who about 50% of the offenders are at any one time. And now what we're seeing is about 10% of offenders are responsible for 50% of the value. So that's what we engage with our customers around. It's not about responding to individual incidents, because that's not working for retailers and it's not working for police. So how in real time do you go, right, we had 5,000 incidents this week, but we're going to focus on these 10 high profile offenders, and we're going to figure out who the resellers are and work with the police and get some massive results. And be able to do that in a repeatable way without having 50 investigators looking at it. Kind of the system helps do that.
And you can do that on a national basis.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
In effect, on an international basis,
Yep.
from a standpoint of Canada and the States together, so to speak.
Exactly. And if you think about law enforcement, and a lot of law enforcement agencies have different systems as well, this creates a consistent, standard, global view that retailers can collaborate with law enforcement and everyone's on the same page.
But that's taking thought of the law enforcement would be on the program, would be on the platform.
Exactly, yes.
So part of your effort is getting the law enforcement folks to also get engaged and get involved.
Yeah. So we've found that to actually be really easy. Once they start seeing how easy our product is and the benefits they can get from it, and it saves them hours every investigation, and it has the magic bit of intel they need to break a case, which might actually even be broader than retail and shoplifting, and they come onto our platform really easily. So in New Zealand, we have over 15% of all law enforcement officers using our product on a regular basis, and we expect to see that trend continue.
How long did it take you to get the 15%?
It wasn't.
About 2 years, less than.
Yeah.
And I think the key thing is that all retailers all have these connections with local law enforcement, and they're using emails or phone calls to work with them. So for us, you eliminate all that, and you've got all that information in one place, including all the activity and communication between each side as well. So it is that global view of what's going on with OIC and crime in your stores.
And some folks in the UK and such are also interested from a standpoint of looking at the software and such, and that's why you're going there?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think what we identified when we started in New Zealand is that it's a global problem. Like, yes, there's intricacies in each market, but at the end of the day, it's retailers and police both have other priorities that are competing priorities often, and there's just too much friction in the middle. And if we can make police and retailers work together and put them back on the same team, you're going to make things harder for the criminals. And I think that proposition stacks up in New Zealand, Australia, America, and the UK.
Well, it acts as the investigative arm for law enforcement. Therefore, they really don't have to do anything but go online and punch it in.
Exactly.
And boom, they got them. If, in fact, they can make an apprehension at the time. I mean, the UK gets killed by Eastern Europe folks and, even Pacific gangs that come out from seasonal times over in the UK.
Yeah, that's right, and that's the thing, it happens so quickly, so you need to be able to surface that, hey, we're getting targeted right now by this gang that was actually here 15 months ago, and if you can highlight that within 3 incidents and when they've started offending again and work with law enforcement, you're going to nip it in the bud a lot quicker. And so we've been seeing that over 60% of the high-profile offenders that our law enforcement partners are targeting, they're not coming back to our customers. And if they do come back, they get targeted straight away and then they stop offending. They might be doing other crimes outside of retail, but they're not coming back to our customers, which is awesome.
Would you input data that was publicly reported, for example, like an ORC case from the Daily, for example, just a hypothetical? I mean, would you input that into the system if in fact it was a valid case and such?
You definitely could. I think the key thing for us is allowing the retailers to input that information. So not only are they using it to work with police, but they can then also collaborate and prevent crime themselves. So it's about how making sure that everyone's playing their part and it's not just relying on one side to investigate these things.
What are some of the results your customers have seen?
Yeah, so when I talked about before about changing the narrative to responding to individual incidents to how do we actually target the profit-motivated crime, one of our retailers has deployed Auror nationally, and basically every week they're like, right, who's the top 5 offenders that are stealing from our stores? They're putting surveillance on them, following them from their stores with stolen goods to resellers, and then they're packaging up that intelligence, and the police are doing search warrants. One result a few weeks ago, they got $300,000 of product back, and it was all packaged to be sent to Asia. So it was baby formula, vitamins, and those types of goods. But in that property, the police also seized over $500,000 of cash and over $1 million of drugs. And I think that was a great result because for the retailer, they're saying to the police, it's not about the kids stealing cans of Coke, it's actually really profit motivated and it's linked to organised crime. And now the police are getting these huge wins, they're actually getting a lot more excited about how can we work together around it. So that's pretty pleasing. And from an ROI perspective, the retailer's seeing on average 1,000% ROI from each of these operations that they're doing. And when they compare that to other methods like deploying coverts in their stores, it's a much bigger payoff. And it's not actually rocket science. You just need to be able to have a scalable way of doing it.
Right. You know, your mission statement is empowering crime fighters. Can you tell us more about what that means?
Yeah, when we first started, we saw the problem of friction between retail and police and law enforcement and how hard it was for them to work together. So for us, we see that if it's a store associate, an investigator, a guard, law enforcement, they all are trying to do the same thing, which is help stop crime, but they're often using different playbooks. So for us, it's how do you get them using the same technology to work together as one team, because everyone is trying to be a crime fighter. And so we want to give them the tools to empower them to do that much more easily and work together on that.
Mm-hmm. What are your plans for helping the US retailers?
Yeah, well, we're really excited about bringing our solution to the US, and so we're here now. The show's been great, and hearing about the challenges the retailers have here and the good work that they're also doing. So for us, it's about pushing on from this show and looking for pioneering retailers that want to challenge the status quo of how they've been doing things and working with them to help them keep their stores safe. So keep posted over the next 12 months.
There you go. Great story.
Thank you.
And thanks for being here today.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, that's it for this episode, ladies and gentlemen. We'd like to thank you for watching. And until next time, let's keep them all safe out there.